We appreciate all of you being here today. Thanks for joining us today for our regular meeting of the Board of County Commissioners. Today is Tuesday, the 26th day of April of 2016. We usually don't get this kind of a crowd, so we're glad to have some of you with us today. We could move. I think I know what agenda item you're here on, and so I'm trying to decide whether you want to hear all the rest of the county business first, just so you know what we do.
Well, they're here for the rodeo. We're going to sign up at the fairgrounds. I know that's the item they're here for.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
No, we do appreciate your input and your willingness to share your thoughts with us today. So we're going to try and arrange our agenda in a way that makes sense for that. So we hope that you'll participate. We'll begin our meeting today by our invocation, which will be offered by Brianna Cederholm, our Pledge of Allegiance led by Jennifer Graham, and our Thought of the Day by Commissioner Ebert. Brianna?
Our dear Heavenly Father, we're very grateful to meet together this morning to discuss Weber County and those items that are affecting the county at this time. We ask you to please bless us that we can make sound decisions and that we can do so in a manner that will be pleasing unto those we serve. We ask you these things, Heavenly Father, in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Just a quick thought, a thought by W. Clement Stone, what makes the difference? There is little difference in people, but that little difference makes a big difference. The little difference is attitude. The big difference is whether it is a positive or a negative attitude. We want to have positive attitudes.
Well said, Commissioner. Appreciate that. All right, we'll move to our consent items. We should be able to run through these fairly quickly. First is a request for approval of purchase orders in the amount of $245,706.12. Request for approval of warrants number 404043 through 404248 in the amount of $2,398,578.57. Request for approval of minutes for the meeting held on April 19th of 2016. Request for approval of Staker Parsons change order number 2 on the construction of 3500 West Phase 2. And request for approval of Wardell Brothers change order number 2 for the construction of Skyline Drive. Commissioners, any questions before we take input from Mr. Hatch on those consent items? Okay, Ricky, what would you like us to know here?
Okay. This is just a quick summary of the purchase orders, the key items in the purchase orders, and the checks. So this week we issued 39 purchase orders for $246,000. 40% of that amount, or $99,000, is for our roads department, and that's primarily purchasing gravel, road base, and other materials getting ready for the summer construction. 15%, or $37,000, was for the library, and that was primarily books and equipment. 8%, or $19,000, is for the health department for vaccines. 7%, or $17,000, was for the strike force, and they're doing a bathroom modification there. 6%, or $15,000, was for our recreation department, and that was mostly for the fairgrounds, waste removal, and fertilization. As far as checks, we issued $2.4 million worth of checks. We had 206 checks this week. 34% of that, or $819,000, is our health and dental insurance premiums for county employees. 17%, or $412,000, was for the transfer station, and that was for disposal of waste. 8%, or $191,000, is our monthly payment to the paramedics. 7%, or $169,000, is our monthly payment to human services. And 5%, or $126,000, it went for the 12th Street construction project. It was property purchases, and then there was also some purchases for the Larson Lane construction project. That's all.
questions from the commission? Okay, since we do have a whole bunch of people here, I'm going to take the opportunity to educate as much as I can here on this consent process. This is one of those processes that we go through. These are generally items that are considered boilerplate or frequent, that have a very strict procedure that goes along with making sure that these items are placed on the consent calendar. We used to just kind of run through these because the commissioners get these items well in advance and are able to review them so that if there's any concerns, we can pull them off of the consent calendar. But in this particular case, and in most, they are done appropriately. But we still want to have a discussion about it as a whole for the public's opportunity, even though those are put out on the agenda, just to make sure that the public has the opportunity to hear what we're doing there. So we asked the clerk auditor, who plays a role in making sure all of these checks and expenditures are cut, to run it down for us. And we just remind you as well that anytime you have desire to participate in our meetings when you can't be here, we do have live streaming on our YouTube channel, so you can watch that from a remote location. You can also log on to that YouTube channel and re-watch any of those at a later date. So the consent items then, commissioners, are before us. Is there anything on that list that causes any concern you would like to pull off and discuss individually?
Not for me.
Okay. A motion to the consent calendar.
I'll make the motion to accept the consent calendar as read.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second to approve and adopt those consent items as read. If there's any further discussion, now would be the time. Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It passes unanimously. Thank you. Okay, just by way of information, we are going to pull item number 3 from our agenda. That will not be heard today. We do have a pretty good agenda today, but like I said before, as much as we would love to have everyone that's here understand all of the things that we do as a county and hear all this, we're going to go ahead and have item number 1 heard first so that they can participate. And let me just explain to you a little bit of the difference, one of the challenges we have. This is actually a public meeting, not a public hearing, which generally means that we have public comment either at the end or at the beginning of our meeting, depending on what happens. But I think our rules will allow us, even though it's not published as a public hearing, I think it will allow us to take public comment on this particular issue in the middle of the agenda item. So what we're going to do is we're going to have Lieutenant Toll and Mr. Barron, excuse me, I got a frog in my throat today. We're going to have them present where we are on the issue, recap where we got to last week, and then I think we're going to go ahead and have any from the public who would like to comment on that particular issue as part of our agenda item. Commissioners, do you have any concerns with that?
Nope.
Okay, and we'll do that before we vote on the item so that we can hear that public comment before we vote. Okay. So this is item number 1 on our agenda. Request for approval of an ordinance of Weber County amending the overnight watercraft use ordinance for Pine View Reservoir. Mr. Barron, good to see you this morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. This is the second reading of an ordinance that would prohibit watercraft on Pine View Reservoir between the hours of 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. The initial draft of this ordinance that I prepared for last week's meeting also prohibited overnight sleeping in any boats on the water. I have proposed an amendment at your request that would allow people to sleep in their boats as long as they're in a paid slip. And so you should have that amendment in front of you. You're familiar with the issues surrounding boats out on Pine View Reservoir, and so I won't get into that. But Lieutenant Toll is here. He can address those issues in more depth. I also wanted to mention before I sit down, though, that we have a representative from the U.S. Forest Service here, Tawny Myers, and they're in support of this ordinance. We also have support from the Division of Wildlife Resources and the Department of Natural Resources. Any specific questions for me?
Just stay close, because I'm sure we will.
Okay, I'll be here.
Lieutenant Toll, come on up.
Thank you and good morning. For the past several years, we've had residents in the Upper Valley ask us to try and do something with the noise complaints on Pine View from the hours of 10p to 6a. We had a meeting with the Forest Service, the Division of Wildlife Resources, and State Parks to discuss some of the options. And the options we came up with really that would take care of the problem as a whole is the ordinance that we proposed. So on behalf of the Sheriff's Office, we appreciate the input from the public about the proposed nighttime boating closure at Pine View Reservoir. Our stand is to ensure the safety and peace of the public. There is a current existing ordinance which closes the land around the reservoir from 10p to 6a and is consistent with Forest Service campgrounds and county parks. Currently, all boat docks and ramps, with the exception of Port Ramp, have a gate that is locked from the hours of 10p to 6a, and the Forest Service is currently working on a plan to install a gate at Port Ramp this year. So in essence, that will put all boating docks closed from 10p to 6a. We feel it is in the best interest of the public to preserve the peace, health, and safety of the county's residents to enact this ordinance. For the past several years, there have been significant residential growth around Pine View Reservoir. During the late night hours, 15 to 30 boats will tie up on the water of Pine View in various cove areas. These areas are adjacent to multiple residents. Multiple noise complaints are received from residents throughout the late night and early morning hours due to loud music and yelling. We also receive complaints of nudity, excessive drinking, drug use, fights, fires on the beach, garbage left over, and even firearms being shot from the boats. We are also told because the boats stay on the water for several days at a time, they have been dumping their waste into the water because there are no dumping services unless the boat is taken off the water. Deputies are unable to access the violators from land. When they have a Marine Patrol deputy available, the violators can see the patrol boat approaching from a great distance, giving them enough time to quiet everything down. This makes it difficult to enforce the current laws that are in place. The boaters know the deputies are outnumbered, even letting them know it. Once the deputies leave the area, the party starts back up. In essence, this creates an officer safety issue where deputies and officers are outnumbered and unable to take care of the problem on the water. If deputies needed to go hands-on with a violator while on the water at night, outnumbered, the risk of going overboard increases tremendously for the deputy and individual involved. This would create yet a more dangerous and possible tragic situation where a drowning may occur. We definitely don't want that. Only a few people have voiced their concern about punishing everyone for a few who cause the problems. The exact is opposite. Those who cause the problems far outweigh those who actually use the water at night and don't cause problems. Some feel that people would like to kayak, canoe, or raft at night. They should be able to do so. However, it is illegal for personal watercraft during the nighttime hours between sunset and sunrise currently, and those who use canoes, kayaks, and small boats are unable to access the water at night due to the land closure that's in place currently. This ordinance, if passed, will allow boaters to have a paid slip at the dock to sleep in their boats, as long as they park in that paid slip during those closure hours. If in fact there is a problem at those points, we would be able to access them and deal directly with the individual and identify the problem. Thank you for your consideration of this ordinance.
Thank you. And I'm sorry, remind me the name?
Tawny Myers.
Tawny, good to have you with us today. Lieutenant Toll, would you like for Tawny to make some comments as well?
I would just like the commissioners to know that the Forest Service is in support of this, and if the ordinance passes, we will be passing what's called a special order that mirrors your county ordinance. We understand the problems. The Forest Service doesn't currently even have a boat at Pineview to assist the county in the problems. I've personally witnessed them. I've personally seen the risk firsthand and felt very outnumbered, like I was in a very dangerous situation. If we do try to go to deal with people, like he said, it shuts down. We have lights on our boat. They can see us coming. We've had people, when we're trying to deal with them, they hook their boats together, so they just hop down 4 boats and we can't find them. I know it's very easy for people to judge and say we need to just enforce the ordinances that are out there, but we can't do it. With the resources that we have, it's just a bad situation for everyone involved. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that.
So, look, one question, Brandon. So is there plenty of slips up there that people can rent for day use? Is there such thing as day use slips or night?
No, the day use slip is basically just paying to launch your boat and be there during the day. In order to actually keep your boat at specific locations at the dock areas overnight, those do have to be purchased separately.
So,
and the only
but
2 areas that I'm aware of that allow that currently is Port Ramp. They've got some paid slip areas, and the Yacht Club, but they are a private club over there.
When you say paid slips, you mean they buy them for a whole year, or they can buy them for one night at a time?
I'm not exactly sure how the AL&L, the American Land and Leisure, work that. I do know that people do purchase those for a entire summer season to be able to just leave their boat at that slip the entire time.
Okay, so 2 more questions. So that's my question, is if there's somewhere someone can park a boat so they can leave it on the water. If they come from out of town, they're gonna stay for 3 or 4 days. If there's somewhere they can park it, there's a slip they can get for at night. The second thing is at Anderson Cove. I know we don't have slips over there, but the boats can be at Anderson Cove, but they cannot sleep on their boats in Anderson Cove. Is that correct?
Correct. There is an ordinance that's already in place, has been for several years, that if you are you've paid for a camp spot at Anderson Cove because of the amount of boats that are over there, they're allowed to beach their boat, but they do have to stay up in the campground. The beaches are closed.
Right.
From 10 p to 6 a.
I got that.
With what's happening now, those boats are allowed to anchor off 20 feet from the shore currently.
Okay.
Because the beaches are closed.
Right, I got you. Oh, so they can't park on the beach. They got to anchor,
Correct.
or they got to pull their boat out and put it in
Correct.
their parking space. Okay, I think that couple questions answered.
I saw the sheriff here. Sheriff, do you want to add anything? We always love to hear from you.
You're supposed to be telling the truth in here.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
he didn't tell the truth just now, Terry.
I
Yes, I
know it,
did.
I know it. No, Commissioner, thank you. Yeah, I think Lieutenant Tolles laid it out pretty well, and Tani, the Forest Service, is a great partner, did a good job of laying it out. You know, this isn't a problem that just started, yesterday.
Right.
This is a problem that's existed for a long time. And really, for all those in here today, they're well aware of this problem. This isn't a secret. The reason we're here is because it's not. It's a very open problem, and it's been a huge issue for residents around that lake for many, many years that we feel badly we haven't been able to address it on a better basis to help serve those residents around the lake. Part of the problem is in trying to address this with limited resources. If we get some of our folks out there on the lake at night to try to deal directly with this, and we've got a break-in in a home in the Upper Valley, we have no one available to respond to that. So it really is unquestionably a safety and a resource issue for the Upper Valley specifically. And we need to be available to respond and take care of those folks that live in the Upper Valley, and that's important to us. It's also important to us to try to create a safe and secure environment on the reservoir. And we need a safe and secure as possible environment for our folks that are enforcing the law. So there's other options out there. There certainly are. But in this case, with the issues that we've had over the years, and trying to find a resolution to those for, quite some time. This appears to be the most reasonable way to address this. And so I've asked, the Lieutenant Toll to put together this group and to meet with them and look at how we can find a resolution to this problem. And at least at this point, this appears to be the most reasonable and sustainable resolution to addressing this issue. So, thank you.
Thank you very much, Sheriff.
Thanks, Terry.
Appreciate it. So what a difference a couple of days makes. Last Tuesday, we had probably not quite as many people in the room, but we had some come to the microphone and claim to represent a whole bunch of others who had asked them to represent them in the meeting, and so we never heard one negative comment as we went through our first reading. And I got a feeling we're going to hear some today, so we'll hear those comments and concerns and do our best to make a good educated decision. So if you will, from law enforcement, will stay close by so that we can ask you questions. We're going to go ahead and move into our public portion here and see if there's any who would like to address us on this particular issue and enlighten us, help us to understand what we should be doing.
So state your name and where you're from every time, but you can make a line right there. Try not to repeat each other. If it's the same issue, just because we do have a meeting at 5 tonight we want to go to.
I did want to mention that I see one of our elected officials in the room, Representative Schultz from out in Hooper area, so we appreciate you being here. I don't know if you're going to talk on this particular issue, but anytime we see an elected official in the room, we want to welcome you to our meetings and hope that you contribute in some way. We appreciate all that you do down at the state for us. I looked right past Mayor Truitt as I saw Representative Schultz, Mayor of Huntsville. Thanks, Mayor Truitt, for coming and representing your people today. Okay, go ahead, sir.
Thanks, Commissioners. My name is John Contos. I was born and raised here in Ogden. I still live here. I'm a retired school teacher. I've probably, in some capacity, either fished or water skied, and I still water ski and camp and that up at the dam. Everything that the sheriff said is absolutely true. I'm up there most of the summer. I want to throw some other things out too. I feel that what he was mentioning, the last man, about resources, that's really true, because on a given weekend, I don't even go up there on weekends because it's so crowded. The American Land and Leisure, there's supposed to be a cap on the amount of boats that are actually out on the lake, and that they exceed that all the time. So it's kind of like let one person in, a person comes off. When the water level drops up there, it becomes even more of a hazard later on in the year. Now, with the water at capacity, it'll be a little bit easier for boaters. Probably the fact that we've had a good winter. Willard Bay will take a lot of the pressure off, but when Willard is limited for like depth and stuff like that, Pine View's the place. So I look at it this way. For the fishermen, at those times, 10 and 6, fishermen could be on the water fishing for muskie way earlier than 6. Or we could be water skiing have our boats on the water at 5:30 and be off by 8:30 and still be able to go to work in the early AM. There is a problem. There's a huge problem. I see that with the boaters, like it said in the paper, where it's kind of, they make it look like Lake Powell. They put those boats together. There's probably huge amounts of party and stuff like that, but I don't see that, because me in the morning, I'm just water skiing with my friends and we're off the water. But to take away opportunities to fish and you can be on the water. I believe if you have the correct lighting on your boat, you can be on any body of water. I don't know of any body of water that's in Utah where you can't be on it overnight if you wanted to. I just don't know of a place. So to restrict it from 10 p.m. And the other thing is, way before there was ever housing around the dam, there was not that issue, but it's come to a head. It's definitely come to a head to where I think the 10 p.m., 6 a.m. premise has merit, but it still could be tweaked a little bit to allow kayakers, I've been on a kayak in the moonlight at midnight out there. It's gorgeous. I would not like to have that thing taken away, but just maybe tweak it a little bit and look at some other possibilities. I think all these people will probably throw out some of that stuff.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Morning, Commissioners. My name's Jeff Carter. I'm a business owner in town, an employer, and I own a boat that I bought specifically to be able to spend the night on. I understand there's a problem at Pineview. I think that problem exists at any large body of water anywhere in the country you go. I understand the issue with resources, but, you know, one analogy would be, really, you buy a house on a golf course, you're going to get pelted with golf balls. You buy a house on Harrison Boulevard, you're going to have traffic. I understand the interaction problem with the police and the boaters up there that are causing the issues, but yet we've got traffic cams that'll take a picture of your license plate and you send them a ticket. Well, nobody's really been getting punished for doing what what they shouldn't be doing up there. Hull numbers are prominently displayed on both sides of the hull on every boat up there by law. The police really don't absolutely have to interact. Why couldn't they take a picture of the hull numbers or write down the hull number or the registration number and then find the owner of the boat and make it a substantial fine? You know, $500, $1,000. And I swear, if you did that several times, word would get around and people would start cooling their jets. Like I said, I bought my boat specifically as a camper on the water. We don't go running around Pineview Dam. We find a nice place to park, we throw out our bow anchor, we back into the beach, throw out our beach anchors, and we pretty much don't move. That's where we stay for 2, 3, 4 days. So really, if this law passes or ordinance passes, my boat's worthless. And unless I go to Bear Lake or Flaming Gorge or Lake Powell or Utah Lake or any other lake apparently besides Pineview, what am I going to do? Oh, and I keep my boat at Pineview. From where I live, I can have my boat in the water and be on it in 20 minutes. That's the beauty of Pineview Dam. So take that away, and I lose that. Thank you.
Thank you. You can come up here. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Denny Peterson. I'm a retired individual, and I'm still an owner of a business in Weber County. And I have a residence in Eden, and we use the Upper Valley quite profusely. I mean, we go up there as a family. I have 3 sons, and they have a family, and we like to go and utilize the facilities that are up there, i.e. the dam. We go for a ride on the boat. A lot of times we'll go over to one or all of the restaurants up there. They're all great. I'm concerned as a tax collector for Weber County on the economic impact that it's going to have on that Upper Valley. And I guess personally, I don't want to see some of the businesses that are up there, the fine restaurants and whatnot, be suppressed because of the lack of business that's going to be. I'm concerned about Weber County because I've had many friends come to me and say, well, I'm just going to move my boat up to Flaming Gorge. So you're going to lose property taxes. You'll lose the licensing because that's going to go to another county. And, you know, we all know that we try to live within our means. You folks are pretty good stewards of that. But when you see a leak in the dike, somehow I think you need to attend to it. And I hate to see, you know, the one fellow there says, gosh, he's going to lose his ability to go boating. And, well, that's the beauty of Pine View, because it's just right there. I have another, you know, I'm a retired individual, and it probably is not going to make a bunch of impact on me personally, other than, you know, I have sons, I have grandsons and granddaughters, and they're not going to have that opportunity to go and boat and spend the night and wake up in the early morning and watch that sun come up over those mountains. It's gorgeous. And I really think that a lot of the people that enjoy these kinds of things are being sequestered by a few that, you know, that are breaking the law. But why don't we punish the people that are breaking the law and get that stopped? And I realize there's a problem, but one fellow said, well, why don't we have a camera there? I think that's a great idea. Take a picture of the hull number. Punish those that are doing the deal. You know, I'm a member of the Ogden Pine View Yacht Club, and I know last year the board they booted one fellow off the lake because he wasn't, you know, adhering to the rules, because we have a quiet time over there. I'm usually over to my residence, and I don't get to see that. I feel for our sheriff, because I think he's got a problem, but I think there's another way to address it.
Thank you.
I thank you.
Appreciate your comments. By the raise of hands, before we get too much further, how many people would like to comment here today on this? We got a few, quite a few. Can we fire up the timer? Let's get this.
I don't think
No,
anybody's gone over.
That's nobody's gone over. But let's just make sure that everybody gets an opportunity that wants to. So let's. Is everybody okay with 2 minutes, or do we need 3? 3. All right, we'll go with 3 minutes. Okay, go ahead.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
My name is Rob Thomas, Eden, Utah. I'm the current Commodore at the Ogden Pine View Yacht Club, and aware of this problem for several years now. And we've really tried to promote in our club the quiet time and keep people respectful to the rules of the lake. A lot of folks go out there and stay for the weekend. I've witnessed all of this stuff that the sheriff has brought to our attention. But it's part of, you know, our family. My kids have been born and raised on that lake, been boating out there for more than 20 years. Teach them the respect of the lake, the trash that we pick up and haul away at the end of the day from our experience out there, and try to be respectful of land. There is a problem. We've done our part at the yacht club, I believe. If there is an issue, back to the hull numbers, the name on the back of the boat. If that's coming from our club and it's brought to our attention, we will deal with that in-house, as well as whatever the sheriff's department would like to impose. But just here to share those thoughts with you. I think this is something I hate to see a lot of people punished, has been mentioned, for things that the majority are not doing out there. There are a few out there, and I think that needs to be addressed, but it'll be sad if this comes to the point of affecting everybody.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And what a great example. He said everything he needed to say and still left some time on the clock, huh? That's good. So come on up, whoever's next.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
My name is James Williams. I'm a retired peace officer with AP&P. I've boated on Pine View for a little over 20 years now. I probably spend 4 out of 7 days a week there between May, when the slips open, all the way to the end of September. I've witnessed a lot of things on the lake, and one of the problems that's consistent is the noise hazard ordinance that is always violated, and trash and other things that go on around the lake. But inherent with a peace officer's duty is the problems associated with dealing with the public, and being outnumbered is not uncommon. The thing is that if you don't enforce the ordinance you already have, you're going to have a real difficult time enforcing ordinances such as this one. The logistics of it is a nightmare. Port Ramp has about 50 slips that rent it out, and they rent them out starting in November, and within a week, those slips are gone. I don't know how many slips the yacht club has, but on any given time, there's about 300 and some odd boats in the lake. Given any given Sunday, if you've been there, watching people leave the lake becomes quite a cluster. Trying now to say that 200, 150 some odd boats need to leave the lake, what a zoo. To say nothing of the economical impact of what you're doing within the area around the lake. I think a little bit more enforcement is really the issue. I don't know if anyone has ever received a ticket. I've never even heard of anyone who's received a ticket for ordinance. I know they've been slapped on the wrist and told to turn it down. But sometimes when talking with young people in their 30s and 20s, they have a tendency to go, yeah, and as soon as they're out of the cove, they turn the music back up. So I think at some point in time, someone's going to have to really step up and say, this is how it's enforced, and we do enforce it. And pretty soon, the idea gets around that, hey, maybe I need to turn my music down because I am disturbing other boaters. It's not an issue of shutting down the lake, because there's always going to be some type of noise, some type of people coming onto the lake that are going to make some type of disturbance. And until you enforce it, you're not going to make any headway with it. I know it's an economic issue. You've got people that own $1 million homes surrounding the lake. They don't want their backyard, which is at the beach, trashed. They don't want to listen to the noise, and I don't blame them. But education and enforcement of the issues, not just shutting down the lake and telling everybody that, hey, this is how we'll handle the problem. Economically, logistically, a bucket of worms. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Go ahead. Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
I'm Patrick Conlon. I'm a chiropractor. I'm an Ogden resident. I'm also a slip owner or a renter, and I've rented a slip off and on for 10 years. The problem, to me, seems really simple. There's nowhere on that lake is there any posted ordinance. So you got people coming from other states, and they have no idea what the laws are. They have no idea. So the police might come up. I learned because I've been there for so long. I've heard them come in and tell people to quiet down, and usually they do. And all the boaters that I know that have been there for as long as I have, they don't make noise after 10 o'clock. And I know there's one particular problem. It's over at Spring Cove is the name of it. And that's where the noise happens. But these people are not informed. And you got all these new boaters that come up on the lake. There's no posted signs. There's no posted anything. So they have not even informed the public of what the ordinance is. So what's the point of like shutting down the lake before you even let the people know what the ordinance, how are they supposed to know? You're out on a lake, you should be able to turn up your music unless there's something posted saying there isn't. So my proposal is at Port Ramp and any inlet that some signs get posted and that the people are informed by the people that are, the people that work up at Port Ramp or at the campground to inform every boater that goes in there that it's quiet time after 10.
Okay, your name and where you're from is what she's asking for when you come to the microphone. We have to have a record of everyone who participates and speaks in the meeting. Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name's Claper Sean. I live in Riverdale in Weber County. I'm a retired DWR employee, spent 35 years, proud years, working for the agency. I'm going to talk to you just a little bit about muskie management. And if I say we, in the context of speaking of DWR, it's an old habit, folks. I'm retired and I only speak for myself. First off, I've learned some really interesting things just listening to the few people that have spoken so far. And given the gravity that this ordinance could have, I sure wish we had more than 3 minutes. I sure wish that there were a more collaborative process, that we could hear lots of good ideas from a lot of people. I have great sympathy with the folks that live in Ogden Valley and have to put up with behavior that's unlawful from other folks. I've had to deal with that myself before, and I don't like it. I also, having worn a badge for 20 years, can sympathize with what my brother and sister officers have to deal with. It's a very difficult situation. Pineview Reservoir, back in the early 1990s, possibly even the 1980s, muskies were introduced there. The first place in Utah. It's a fishery that's developed with a hardcore group of people that like to fish for them, including myself. DWR has built a hatchery within the last 7 years to support producing these fish for the state of Utah at substantial expense. We live here in Weber County. Pineview Reservoir is proximal to most of us that live here along the Wasatch Front, and as such, it's a unique situation. We've got an awful lot of people there that have to share an awfully small resource. And as such, I would far prefer, as a devoted muskie angler, to not have to put up with water skiers and jet skiers and so on and so forth. That'd be my perfect world, but I don't live in the world by myself. So I've adapted. And what I've learned to do is I fish at night and I fish early in the morning, because that's a point in time when those other two groups of people aren't out and about. We stay out of each other's hair that way. I guess as I look at this ordinance, I have a hard time understanding the 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. Standpoint or proposal. As one of the anglers pointed out here before, we have a portion of the year where it gets light. It's plenty light enough to see at 4 a.m. From an angler's standpoint. And to take away the best part of the fishing day up till 6 a.m., I don't understand that at all. From an enforcement standpoint, if you're going to deal with people that are causing problems, that's something that's probably going to have to occur after 10 p.m. shortly, because that's when they've got their music playing and doing whatever they're doing that's bothering other people. An enforcement action isn't going to start at 4 a.m. in the morning. Those people aren't going to be out there from 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. causing problems. And it's just adding and not taking away another piece of time from us where we've already had to give up much already. Furthermore, I would support what others have mentioned. I much prefer to put the crosshairs on people that are violating the law rather than apply punishment to everyone. I live on South Weber Drive over in the Riverdale Valley. There's a trucking firm that's up the street from me. Sometimes the truck drivers go to work early in the morning, and the vast majority of them are good, responsible citizens. Occasionally, some of them like to play with their Jake brake coming down the road in the morning, and occasionally I'm awakened by that. But the solution to that isn't to put a gate on South Weber Drive and close it from 10 p.m. till 6 a.m. The solution to that is to deal with the guy that's leaning on his Jake brake. So I don't know what to tell you much beyond that. I have a lot of things that I'd like to say, but I would very much like to hear what the other folks here have to say as well. And thank you for the job that you do. I understand what it's like to have to be on your side of the bench. It's a tough job, and thanks for your efforts.
Thank you very much. Okay, who's next?
Good morning. I'm Rich Kirby of Pleasant View. Thanks for hearing our comments today. I'd like to just explain how I use Pine View mostly. We have a cabin cruiser. We usually go up by ourselves, just my small family. We like to drop anchor at night. It's the best time to go up there. We don't like the crowds. We don't like the noise. We go for the peace and the quiet. So we go up there Friday or Saturday afternoon, and we'll just hang out overnight, enjoy the quiet, the sunset, the sunrise. That's what we're there for. And I've experienced the noise and the problems up there, and I don't like it either. I'm not up there every night like the residents, but when I am there, that's what I'm there for, is the peace and quiet. And I don't appreciate the inconsiderate people that are making all the noise and keeping us up at night. We're usually asleep by 10. So I would really hate to lose that. As the other fellow mentioned, that's mainly what my boat is for. And if I don't get to use Pine View in that way, I'll probably have to sell my boat or take it somewhere else and not get to use it as much. Some thoughts I have on how to help this issue. Obviously, enforcement, we've heard how difficult that is, but again, I have not heard of anybody being ticketed for this issue. And I think if people did, that would help. Education, as the other gentleman mentioned, that would help. I don't see anything when I go up there. When I pay my season pass, I don't get anything that says, here's what the rules are, here's what you need to do. I think if people were educated on it, that would help. The distance to the beach, maybe that could be increased. 20 feet is pretty small. That allows people to be right on the beach, which I understand is some of the problem. People are using the beach at night when they're not supposed to. If they were required to be further away, that would potentially help that. Also, if there was a limit on how many boats could be together, it really seems to be the issue with these big groups of boats. There's 10, 15 boats up there, and they're having quite a party. But people like myself that are 1 or 2 boats, we're just hanging out, being quiet. I really don't think that we should be punished for what the other people are doing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Thank you. It's Robert Fuller. I live in Eden, 1175 North, 5900 East, which is directly east of what used to be called Arrowhead Bay, that's referred to now as Cocaine Cove. And so here's the problem with that place. It's because of the noise, including even last weekend. So who thinks it's appropriate? Who thinks it's acceptable and appropriate to have right in your backyard extremely loud, vulgar music at 2 or 3 in the morning? Our light fixtures vibrate in the house because of the music, okay? And so when I call the sheriff's office is probably as tired of taking my calls as I am of making them. And my discussions with them, they explained that it's just too volatile a situation. They said, we go in there at night, there's the boats lined up, there's alcohol, there's water, there's darkness, and we just don't feel comfortable going out there. So when you call them and they zip into the cove there, the music shuts down, and about 2 minutes later, the music's back up. And I've invited, through our farm, we have the 6th generation family farm just east of the cove there, or west of the cove there, excuse me. And so the sheriffs come down, and a lot of them are surprised at how many boats are there and how noisy it is. So the point is, it's the loud music. The garbage is something they can put up with, and we can pick that up in the summertime. It's the music, and if it's truly too dangerous to go police that, then the appropriate approach would be to shut it down. And so from 10 o'clock at night, and you don't have to go that late, the noise quits about 2 or 3, so from 10 at night until 4 in the morning, so those of us that like to fish, could fish early, would be appropriate. But if you can't enforce the police powers, I think it meets all the elements of a private nuisance and a public nuisance, and it has an effect on our property because of the conduct of others. If you can't police it and use your police powers, the appropriate approach would be to shut it down, and a reasonable policing of that would be from 10 o'clock at night, which is a quiet time, till 4 o'clock in the morning. And I think you should go another step. I think in that particular cove, to balance those people that like to kayak and float around in there, there should be some non-motorized areas, and that should be non-motorized. And I think you should also police the very few extremely loud boats up there that have inappropriate exhaust systems, and it makes the entire valley rock when they race up and down there. So I appreciate your time, commissioners. Thanks for now, and I appreciate you having this hearing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mayor, good to
Morning,
have you with us
Commissioners.
today.
Well, I feel like a fish out of water, pardon the pun. Only one from Huntsville.
We've been there.
Yeah. I just wanted to say, living there in Huntsville, living in Huntsville town, I heard some analogies about, why build a house by an airport? Why build a house by a garbage refuge or whatnot? But the thing is, there's 4th and 5th generations of Huntsville people in the town. And then the Pineview Reservoir, I believe, was erected in 1953. So the town was there long before the reservoir. Some of the issues we have, I've heard a lot of the issues today, and everybody that's come up here has actually agreed that there's a problem. I have a couple of ideas maybe for some resolve. One would be to, there's a no wake zone by the over there by the dam area. Perhaps that's an overnight stay area. So that way it could be policed easier because they're within a small area, small zone. For those boaters that do like to go up and go camping, enjoy the stars, etc., that perhaps they would have that campground experience, over by the dam. There's no beach access there, so I think that would be a good controlled area. It'd be easily policed as well for those that are maybe out of control. The other thing that I've only heard it once so far, but ALNL, American Land and Leisure, is the concessionaire for the Forest Service. They're the contract holder for Pineview Reservoir. To me, it seems like the people come to the toll, they pay the money, but after dark, they're gone. There's nothing that goes on there. So I'd like to see American Land and Leisure step up a little bit more, and as they collect the fees, they should do something towards perhaps better contracts with the county in policing this as well. So maybe just a couple of ideas. If we can't seek resolve as far as shutting Pineview Reservoir down, I'd like to see it go between 10 and 4 instead of 10 and 6. There's a lot of fishermen out there that would like to have that done, and I don't see them being the problem on Pineview Reservoir. The other thing that happens, and I heard gentlemen talk about it earlier today, that as the summer progresses, what happens is the lake water drops and it exposes more beach access. So the campfires on the beach, the broken glass, the dirty diapers, the sanitation issues, there's people that go down there and back their boats up and they just camp there, and then they leave and they leave all their stuff behind. So, but anyway, I'm sure not everybody does that, but the majority, I would say, probably do, because I get all the calls as well. So anyway, I know this is a very emotional topic for a lot of people, and appreciate all you do for us.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thanks,
We
Mayor.
appreciate your representation of the good people up there. I would prefer that we go with people who have not commented yet, but we're happy to talk after the meeting or by phone or something like anytime. Okay, go ahead.
Commissioners, my name's Grant Weller, and I'm an Eden resident. I live on the west side of the lake, probably a little less than half a mile north of the yacht club. I've lived there for 40 years. I've been a Weber County, Ogden City resident basically my whole life. I've boated on Pineview my whole life. I've been a member of the yacht club for close to 40 years now. I've been the Commodore before. I know all the issues. Number one, I'd like to thank the Sheriff's Department. I think they do a great job. I understand that they're limited in budget, what they can do. Some of these deputies are good friends of mine. They've lived in the valley. I've lived with them. I've helped raise a couple of them. And they're good friends of mine, and I appreciate them. Mr. Fuller, who just spoke, is a neighbor of mine, and I appreciate his comments. Like it's been said, we all agree that there is a problem. My biggest problem is in the middle of the night when I hear a boat go roaring past my place at 2 a.m. and you know, it wakes me up. The walls shake, I agree. But I think those guys could be taken care of without closing the lake down. My family, and my extended family, my grandkids come out here in the summer. We love to go to the lake. We love to sleep on the boat. Grandpa has a little bigger boat that we can all sleep on, and we have facilities on our boat so that we're not making messes. I've cleaned up many messes. I've been walked the beach several times with all these cleanup things we've had. I've organized them to go and clean up the beach. So I appreciate there's a problem, but I don't think closing the lake to everyone and punishing everyone because of the few that are causing the problem. If we have an enforcement problem because of budgetary problems, which is, that's what it always boils down to, is money, and we might need to somehow look at how we could refund that and make it possible to enforce it. Again, I feel like there's other ways besides closing the lake. My family, my grandchildren, their kids, I would hope that we can all love the lake and use it overnight. That's the great thing for us. We live right there, but we still like to go out on the boat, throw the anchor out. Sometimes we come in at 9, sometimes we come in at 11 or 12. Sometimes we don't come in at all, we stay out. And I just don't think there's enough people causing the problem that we should all suffer. And I appreciate your thinking about that. And again, I appreciate what you guys do. And I'm a business owner in the valley. I actually have 2 businesses up there. And again, I appreciate the sheriff's department. They are always taking care of me, and I appreciate that. And anyway, enough said. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Hello, everybody. My name's Steve Luger. I live in Uinta. I've been a resident here in Utah and in the Ogden area for about 33 years. I've been a regular up at Pineview, I'd say for about 28 of those years. I do own a bigger camper boat, specifically for the use of camping on the water up there. I take my family and my friends up there regularly, and we enjoy our time up there. Well, I have a couple of issues that haven't been hit yet. A bunch of us found out about this yesterday. It seems like this was brought on as some kind of a secret that nobody who would be concerned from my point of view even knew about until the very last minute. So a lot of us have a lack of preparation. A lot of people out there still don't even have a clue about what's going on here. And then the other thing is, as I said, I've been a boater for many years. I've watched a lot of people come and go. There are a lot of us that have been boating for many years, are very responsible about it. These are things we've learned over the years and we stick to. Yeah, sometimes our music has been loud, but then we've learned after a little while. That causes problems. So those of us who have been there and have learned, try to do what we can about taking care of that. As far as the garbage on the beach goes and stuff like that, that is, let's see, it's illegal to be on the beach from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. Well, there's groups of kids and stuff that go up there, drive up there, and are out there all the time. And that's generally where a lot of that garbage comes from. A lot of us boaters who have been there for a lot of times, we get up in the morning and we go up and we police the thing. I take out probably 2 to 3 times the amount of garbage that I hauled in capability of. We try to do what we can, and you taking that away from us, that's kind of a problem. And as I started with, the lack of preparation that anybody has or knowledge about this, that's a little bit bothersome. Because I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that would have more to input. Thank you.
Thank you. Morning, Representative. I think it's still morning.
Still morning for another hour. Good morning, Commissioners. I appreciate the opportunity to come and stand before you today. I just to let you know, I'm here on my own behalf, personal behalf, although I did have a couple constituents that reached out to me last night and voiced their concerns. But I do want to thank you guys for modifying your agenda to take public comment. I think that does show your guys' commitment to our community, and appreciate your service. I want to just touch on a couple things that, you know, has been brought up. I have a great deal of respect for our sheriff, as you guys know, and some of the concerns that he's brought up, you know, not to discredit any of those, but I think a lot of those concerns are concerns that would happen anywhere else. You know, I mean, you look at some of the challenges of policing up the canyon or up on Monty or some of those other remote areas. I believe those are some other issues, or, you know, some of those concerns could still be there. And, you know, I worry that are we on a slippery slope with this? You know, are we what's next? You know, if we close down the overnight camping, or overnight, you know, staying overnight on the lake, are we setting ourselves up for something in the future? Because I agree. I think that it obviously would be easier to do that, but I also believe that where there's a will, there's a way. You know, I believe that there are issues that probably are up there that can be addressed and can be taken care of, and I would hope that you know, and maybe it would take some more resources, but I believe the community is willing to come together to try to figure those out and help our sheriff do the policing that needs to be done up there. You know, I think another thing too that was brought up is that boaters could still stay overnight inside the slips. You know, having been up on the lake for, you know, over 25 years, it is really hard to get a slip up there, and very few people have the resources to do that, and the ones that are available for you know, for rent, there are very few of them, and they do go quick, as was mentioned. And so let's see, I also had couple other things. So, you know, I started staying on the lake overnight when I was in my late teens, early 20s, which is, you know, about 25 years ago.
Last week.
I know I look 14, but no, I'm just teasing. I wish. I used to till I started losing my hair. You guys know the feeling. But you know, that's something that I had the opportunity to enjoy. You know, one of my favorite things in this world at that point in time, and still to this day, is staying on that lake and watching the sun go down and then watching that moon come up on a full moon night, and then watching that sun come up in the morning. And there is nothing in this world that can even come close to describe the beauty in that. And I just, you know, that's something that I've had the opportunity to see throughout my whole life, and that's something that I would like to share with my kids and my grandkids and my great-grandkids. You know, our family still enjoys going up and staying overnight on the lake. And, you know, one of the favorite things we do during the summer times on the 4th of July, go up and watch the fireworks. You know, I believe it's Huntsville puts on, good Mayor Huntsville puts that on, and so it is one of our favorite things to do. And you know, I would like to have that opportunity, you know, to do so, and be able to take my grandkids and do that as well. So that, I appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Please state your name.
Oh, sorry, Mike Schultz from Hooper.
The Mike Schultz.
Welcome, sir. Another good public
Good morning.
servant right there, I can tell by the vest.
I'm Phil Douglas. I represent the Division of Wildlife Resources, Northern Region. And as such, it must be stated that the Division of Wildlife enjoys close cooperation and coordination with not only the Sheriff's Office, but the Forest Service, state parks, and others that are concerned with public safety and conservation of natural resources. We do have a little bit of concern with the closure as currently stated. We would like to see an earlier closure, a time frame that allowed for anglers. As mentioned earlier, Pineview has become a nationally recognized fishery. I've personally talked to anglers that come from all over the United States on the reservoir as they're fishing for tiger muskie. The largemouth bass and smallmouth bass fishing is growing exponentially. Crappie fishing is tremendous there, and family fishing for bullheads on the shoreline. So it's a very important multi-layer fishery, and it appeals to a broad range of anglers. So having said that, we would propose that perhaps the closure be narrowed down a little bit, that it be opened at 4 a.m. Away from the partying time. We would suspect that there would be very few that would be, or possibly none that would be partying at 4 o'clock in the morning. So we support those recommendations that have also been made to open it up. And to extend that, we'd like to ask for consideration that may be away from the partying season. Before Memorial Day, after Labor Day, that maybe the access restrictions be lessened. We, as I mentioned earlier, we recognize and appreciate the challenges that come with everything that's been mentioned here. But we also would like it to be noted and recognized that this is an important resource, an important recreation resource, that anglers really do contribute a lot to the local economy.
Absolutely.
That's all I have to say.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Hi, my name is Michelle Scripp. I live in Riverdale, Utah. I've boated up at Pineview for about 15 years now, and I just want to share what my family does. My husband and I started boating about 15 years ago as wakeboarders, skiers. We'd go out early in the morning before the crowds went out there so that we could have the smooth water to boat on. As time has gone on, we have a family now. I have a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old, and we upgraded to a cabin cruiser so that we could sleep on the water. My children go to bed at 7 o'clock at night, so we find a nice camping spot that's quiet, but we also tie up with 5 or 6 other families, and we honor the quiet time, you know, because I want my children to sleep. I don't want them waking up at 11 o'clock at night because the music's loud. So I think to punish those families that want to go out, to be able to boat and share that time. My children wake up at 6 in the morning. They see the sunrise. They see the ducks swimming in the water. They see the pelicans. I mean, that's a great thing that they get to see. And if you were to restrict that access, they wouldn't be able to enjoy that and appreciate that. I think a solution is also to enlist fellow boaters for the policing. I'd be happy to take a picture of a whole number of somebody that's playing their music loud. I think there's select few people that are violating these rules, that they just need to be the ones that are policed. And so maybe having extra enforcement during those times, have a graveyard shift up there on the water on a boat during those times. On the weekends, it's only Friday and Saturday nights, right, that the problem is occurring. It's not during the weeknights. So as far as additional resources, I know it does cost money, but it's not a full-time, full shift that you have to have up there 24/7. So enforce it during that time with extra policing, enlist fellow boaters to take pictures of whole numbers of the people that are violating the issue, and you could solve the problem and keep it open for everybody. Thank you.
Appreciate those comments. Any others who would like to comment? Like one more?
Oh, I'm not the last one.
I think you might be.
My name is Julian Astudillo, and I'm a business operator here in Ogden, and I also reside out in Syracuse. I previously was a resident in Riverdale and Ogden for many years. I see two issues that always keep popping up right now, and it's noise and garbage. My impression, I'm going to speak just for my own self, but I've experienced a lot of these situations that are going on, is I boat for the weekend. I bought a cabin cruiser specifically for that point. There's a lot of money that goes into that. There's a lot of money I use through the marine businesses, the restaurants. As far as the garbage situation in my eyes, it's as boaters, and I've been involved with all the lines. I've seen the partying, seen the noises, and I've seen the quiet times in the quiet lines, and where we've had our kids and stuff. As far as the garbage part, boaters, the majority, and I have a pretty big influence up there with a lot of lines and a lot of crews, that we have kind of a boater's etiquette to some degree, especially during the day and whatnot, or when we leave a beach. We don't tie up to the beach as much except during the mornings, and we enjoy that. But we see a lot of residents or visitors that come down from the picnic areas and camping. They bring tons of coolers and everything. Well, by the time they're finished with their day, they're pretty tired.
And so we see a lot of stuff left, and we do pick up a lot, as Steve Luger previously mentioned. The examiner, in my eyes, put a misrepresentation out there, an impression on the public, making it look like boaters. It's basically shore users. If we're not on the shore, you need to look at that type of a direction of who's using that. As far as the noise, I've been around that. I've seen that noise, and it happens in a particular place, usually consistently at Spring Cove, or known as Party Cove. I've never heard of Cocaine Cove in my life, and I've been up there for years, so some people take things to an extreme. But I've known some of these, I've recognized some of the officials' faces. I think they've been up there. One or two of some other officials know my first name, and they're like, hey, Jules, can you, help us out? We've just been back here once or twice. So we tell people, we tell each other, turn it down. I think substantial fines is where you're going to hit people. It's going to create a little bit of more economic flow. As far as the resources on policing it, that's more of an internal issue. I mean, I feel for the sheriffs and the agencies, but we have police departments that face those same situations. And you don't put like a little martial law in effect or whatnot. We use the restaurants up there, and then we go back out on the water. I have a previous relationship that's here, and we used it for many years. We would stay on the lines. If they were too loud or they were past the time, we would pull off and go to a different spot and enjoy our time. That's basically the whole situation that I'm recognizing, and I just don't see this happening. I think if fines and tickets and the education and the signage and policing of different areas would work, and as the previous lady stated, on certain hours have maybe an extra patrol or whatnot, that would probably be better suited. But I just don't see this really working out that way. I think you need to hit people in the pocket. If it's a $500 fine or $1,000, I think that thing's going to change. I think it's going to change highly. So that's just my point. And I appreciate the work you guys do. If you guys have boats, great. If you don't, I really, really ask you guys to take a deep look at what recreation is and the enjoyment of why we live in this area and near Pine View. Because to me, it's like the Jackson Hole Lake and being in the Tetons, but we have it 30 minutes away. And whatever decisions made will definitely impact that and send boaters to the gorge. And there'll be just a whole different mess of situations going on down here. So thank you for your time.
I don't have a boat, but he's tempting me. If I could afford one, I might.
Ooh, my name is Brad Rainford. Not much of a public speaker, so if I stutter, I apologize. I am a boater. I'm just a weekend warrior. I go up there on the weekends. I spend 2-3 nights up there. But I look forward every year. So that's my time away from reality, just to get up there. It's just like camping with a trailer, but it's just on the water. It's nothing like waking up at the lake and throwing out a pole and fishing. So if that happens, if they take it away, this isn't many people, compared to how many boaters are actually up there. So it's gonna affect everybody. So apologize to me, I'm stuttering. So anyways, but I feel like it's my part to come up here and participate, even though I'm not a public speaker at all, but it's important to me. It's just, that's what me and my family do. So it's just, again, it's gonna affect everybody, because I'll pull out and I'm out. I won't go to Pine View at all, ever. So it's just, and I love it up there. I've been boating up there for a long time, even with my parents. So cabin cruisers, it is the way to go. It's, that's probably why the people that live up there, go up there. That's why they live up there. It's right by a lake, So if you think about it, it's like being kicked out of your home. You know what I mean? But it is and it isn't if you think about it. So, no, I really haven't. I go to Cocaine Cove. I've never heard of that either. Party Cove or what it actually is. The Spring Cove, but it's, there really is only probably about 3 different groups out there. And if we can't get a handle on that by police, it's not being really level-headed, just cutting it off with a knife. You really got to come up with some ideas, not just, let's just shut it off. It doesn't make sense. to me. So anyways, I hope you have, you consider that. I mean, it's just, it's important to me, so, and it's important to a lot of other people. I do feel for the people up there. I was talking to my wife, and she's like, yeah, can you really blame them? Well, no, I can't, but is there a better solution than just shutting it off? Yeah, I promise you that. I know there is. It's just, somebody's just got the idea of just, let's just shut it down. It's just, to me, it's just not level-headed, so I think we gotta think about it and really get together about it. And if that means taking pictures of whole numbers, not much of a cinch, but yeah, I'd absolutely do it in a heartbeat if it meant, having my family outings. So anyways, that's all I got. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate you coming up. I had to go testify in front of Representative Schultz's committee this last year, and it scared me just about as bad. And I used to be on that committee, so I know how you're feeling. I really do. All right, is that it for our public comment? Okay, we're going to go back into our agenda item then. Commissioners, what's your thoughts here? Yeah, sure. Brandon, Lieutenant, is there anything else you want to add as part of your presentation, along with Tawny?
So I've taken a lot of notes. One thing I do want to clear up is Cocaine Cove is nowhere near what you guys are talking. That's off of Cemetery Point. I know the location you guys are discussing, and it's Spring Cove or Party Cove. So Cocaine Cove is not the actual name for that location. Don't know that matters, but I just want people to understand that seemed to be a topic brought up quite a few times. One thing that I do that came up time and time again was changing the time from 10p to 4a to accommodate fishermen and folks like that. We had that discussion as far as what those types of times would be, and honestly, the ramp areas, the land areas are closed from 10p to 6a. So even if a fisherman brought his boat up there at 3, 4 in the morning, he wouldn't be able to launch it. Those boat ramps are and will be closed till 6a. A big one, taking photos of whole numbers and citing the registered owner. Which was that simple, folks. We can't just take a picture of a boat with a whole number and go cite the boat or the registered owner. The registered owner may not even be up there causing the problems, maybe family, friends, whatever. We have to actually have evidence. We have to cite the person. Going to these parties and trying to pick out the individual that's creating the problem and the noise is impossible. We simply go up there. The noise isn't there when we get there. And they say, prove it. You tell us who's the one causing the problems. Well, we can't. But with this ordinance, having a boat on the water, simple. The boat's on the water. It's not supposed to be on the water. We can deal with it. We can prove it. We can cite you at that point. We're not saying you can't be up on the boat, sleeping in your boat, seeing the morning sunrise, enjoying that with your family. But you've got to treat it, with our proposal, as a campground. Into a specific area. Somewhere that you're still able to be on the boat, on the water, but in a slip. I appreciate the Yacht Club for enforcing their rules, and they do. They enforce the rules at the Yacht Club. And enforce the rules out on the water. But they do a good job at the Yacht Club for those quiet times and those quiet hours. And it is much easier to enforce those rules at those specific locations. It's not that easy out on the water. The quiet hours are posted at every access point in the Forest Service kiosks and signs. So to clarify that, they are posted for those folks who do read those signs. Sometimes there's quite a few signs posted everywhere, and you don't always read them all, but they are posted. clearly 10P to 6A quiet hours. And that's consistent with campgrounds, city ordinances all across the state. We know those are the quiet hours. I don't know if there's any additional things you'd like me to specifically address.
I've got questions when it's my turn.
Okay, let's do that.
Start with Matthew. Go ahead.
Okay. I appreciate all the comments. And one thing I really appreciate about the comments is you actually brought a solution with some of your comments. Now, some of them, the solutions aren't possible to work through. Some are really good ideas, and have been a commissioner as long as I am. A lot of people have a lot of criticism of everything we do, but they don't have solutions. So I appreciate some of the solutions that came forward. So Brandon, I think one of the ones for sure was the 10 to 4. I understand they can't put their boats on the water after 4, but there's probably some of them that have boats that are left on the water up there all year, so they'll be able to get those boats and go out and go fish and do whatever. Correct?
Well, the land areas are closed anyway. You wouldn't be able to park around Pineview till 6 a.m.
Okay.
Or access those parking lots until 6 a.m.
But if they come out of the yacht club on their boat to go fishing, they can do that, right? At 4 o'clock?
Well, they'd be on the water, so.
Okay, so that's one. The other one, I think we're talking about, to me, I see two different things. Number one, people that keep their boats up there in slips, and then people that don't have a slip that put their boat on the water and they need to take that off. They need to pull their boat off the water every day. So let's say that they don't. Let's say a group of 15 of them, they tie their boats all together and decide they're not going to take their boat off. What are you going to do? Are you going to impound them all?
No, we wouldn't use excessive force on anything like this.
What are we going to do?
Simply issue a citation.
Okay, and how much is a citation?
Around $85.
It's about $85. Okay.
Is it a Class B? Is it a, do you know?
I'd have to.
Infraction,
I don't know
is it-
exactly. I'd have to look at what that portion of it is.
Not sure, Dave. So that's my other thought on this is, and it's been talked about before, and I understand the cost and enforcement and middle of the night. My biggest concern is officer safety and the fact that if you're on the beach and you tussle with somebody, you're between you and the ground. If you're on a boat and you tussle, the sheriff's office requires more vests, their duty belts and everything. I mean, you're just an anchor. You just go straight to the bottom of the lake, wherever that is. And so that's what concerns me more than anything, and why I like the idea of this ordinance a little bit, because of that one issue only. If it was on land, anywhere else, I'd say absolutely not, because we can deal with those issues. So I'm concerned with the folks from the yacht club. If they want to go run their boat at night, or they can sleep in their boat by this ordinance, correct? Because they've got a slip.
At the yacht club.
At the yacht club, or the other place where there's slips. There's two places up there, slips.
Correct.
How come there's not slips up there on the lake for people to rent? Like in a campground, you go up there, you rent a spot in a campground, you can park your motorhome in there, but we don't have that. Is that something the county doesn't control? Is that a Forest Service deal, or is it a state park deal?
That would be AL&L, and if passed, we would want to make sure there were plenty of available slips available for those folks who don't pay continually. So we would have to work with those folks.
Okay, so that's a concern that I have. I hear the good folks here that are problems, and we're trying to fix something we're trying to fix something when they're not the problem. The people that probably have the problem probably aren't sitting here today. I have a feeling that we have to deal with. So it's an interesting decision. I like the idea between Memorial Day and Labor Day. Isn't a bad idea, but yet on the other hand, it's the docks you can't even put your boat on the water till 6 a.m. So somebody that wants to water ski, if they want to go and water ski on glass at 5 in the morning, do they just leave their boat on the water? What do they do?
It's actually already illegal. You cannot water ski after sunset or before sunrise. So 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, you wouldn't be able to water ski anyway.
So they can't until...
No, you can't until sunrise.
Until sunrise, okay.
Correct.
But if they did, there's probably no way to enforce it. Or there is, you have to put a boat on the water.
There's a way to enforce it, yes.
Okay. All right, we'll answer a few of my questions for a minute, thanks.
So when we're doing speed enforcement, one of the best things we can do is create natural speed reducers, right? Like roundabouts and narrowing roadways and speed bumps, et cetera, so on. Some of the ideas that I've heard today is that same concept. If we move the boats farther offshore, if we limit the tie-offs, if we provide locations that will not affect the residents, I would like us to spend a little bit of time trying to look at that. I am aware that the Sheriff's Office has been looking at this for a tremendously long period of time, may have already identified all of these, but I would like if you could come back and present that. I think it would be very valuable, and I hope that we continue to have the same amount of participation. We had a resident talk briefly about the frustration of finally hearing about it, and I've been here about a year, and I can add up the last 8 months of meetings and have about this many people. So we try to get the word out as much as we can, and we'll try to post this and give all the information out to folks so that you can participate in this decision-making process. The enforcement continues to be an issue, and the government's responsibility is to provide means and ability to the whole individual when they cannot do it on their own. But the enforcement aspect becomes extremely difficult in this environment, and we have to be aware of that. We can't arbitrarily say enforcement is the decision. Is the answer, because at this point it really isn't. We'd have to have 5 boats and 20 officers to deal with some of these situations, and that is impractical. I do, however, appreciate many of the community that have said we want to help. So I think that needs to be part of whatever proposal we end up with, is partnering with our community to help address this specific issue. And maybe we can do a better job of posting and education, but at the end of the day, we have to make a decision on how we really mitigate all of this, keeping in mind that there are safety issues for the officers when they're dealing with this. So those are my specifics. I'm not going to ask you to give me an answer to any of those today. The only question I do have specific is this a common practice? Do we have other reservoirs or lakes that close because of these type of issues? And how has that worked? Understanding that one of the issues we're going to have to make a decision is the use of this reservoir. And are these types of boats the use that we're really prioritizing? If they're not, then this works. If they are, then we have to find a different resolution probably. But as far as opening and closing hours for different reservoirs and lakes, is it a common practice, or is it used?
I'll let Tani speak on that. She's been involved with some of those.
Strawberry Reservoir has a no overnight camping order except in designated spots, and they have designated spots where people can camp in slips and anchor their boats outside of the campgrounds. And then I believe Yuba Reservoir with the state parks has a 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. because they were having a similar issue such as we're having here.
I've heard that some of them have instituted something like this and then backed off based upon the message kind of getting out. So there's an idea there. I guess the problem here, commissioners, is that we know that there's a problem. And it's not just in this particular area. The day use, we've got day use issues, we've got parking issues, we've got beach issues. We need the community to know that we are working very hard to try and address some of the challenges that come with the fact that this is a great place to be, and unfortunately there are some who are less respectful than others, and the reality is sometimes we have to police ourselves. I hope that the group of people that's here today and those that are watching online will help to get the word out that our residents can't deal with some of these problems without having some help from their local representatives, and so it's going to be up to all of us, I think, to get that word out, and to the bad actors out there, we've got to help to police that problem and set an example, and then be a part of the solution, as Commissioner Bell said. So it's a real challenge, and I'm not sure what the answer is here. I think to to the comment that was made about, this being a surprise. I don't mean to be disrespectful, but, we can only do so much to get the word out, and apparently it's out now, and I'm glad of that. I appreciate everyone who has participated today. I think we probably set a record on our YouTube channel. I'm watching over 60 people who are participating on our YouTube channel right now, watching online. My guess is we'll have a whole bunch queue into this meeting afterwards and want to listen and help form their opinion as well. So what I would ask at this point is that we all move forward with some positive outreach, some positive solutions, try and come up with those, and let's bring those to the table and let's have this debate, because the reality is the discussion and the debate is going to happen, and we've got to do what we can to solve the problems that are before us. And if we don't hear from individuals as we have today, then we probably will make a one-sided decision. I mean, the reality is what we saw last week was completely the other side of the story, very, very valuable, and now we have a much better picture, I think, to come up with a reasonable solution to this issue. Commissioners, with that being said, I think that we have to do something here. I'm more interested in getting it right than I am in getting it done quickly. And so my suggestion is that we take this public comment that we've heard on this issue under consideration, that we work with our law enforcement agencies to see if there are other options that might work as well, and that we look for more of a comprehensive solution to this problem, and we continue this debate and hope that we can have some positive outcome in the future. So I am not comfortable, I guess, is my opinion, voting in favor of this ordinance as it stands today without some further refinement. And if you would like to proceed with a vote, we can do that. I'm just telling you, my perception is that this is not quite ready for final passage today. So that's where my vote would be.
With all due respect to commissioners, if they can readdress issues, why can't we?
Well, because
we're not in open comment right now.
We're out of our public comment, and we this is a staff report, and so we wanted to hear from our staff as a follow up to some of the things that had been said. But I think what we're given here is a whole bunch of time for you to readdress issues in a lot of different forums. So we hope, we're not saying this debate's over. What we're saying is we're going to hold off. I'm proposing that we hold off here, and that we input as we can over the coming days, weeks, and that we come back with a solution that is more positive. And frankly, I've got the good thing about this now, we've got all of you that hopefully have signed in, that you were at this meeting. Hopefully we can find someone on that list that we could notify specifically, other than our regular public meetings postings that we do, and maybe some of you can get the word out when it comes time to that we're ready to take action on this, that all of you can be represented as well and move forward. So,
I would just like to add, I hope that this body understands that the sheriff's position on this and Lieutenant Toll's position on this is finding a resolution to it, not restricting the use of the reservoir, because that's the only option we have. That's the only option they have right now at their hands. And if we can come as a community together with resolution that fixes this and takes the officers and deputy out of harm's way, reduces the noise, reduces the garbage, makes a better reservoir for everyone to use, that's the resolution they're looking for. They're happy to have that. So if someone has a magic bullet, please bring it forward. We're happy to implement that as the ordinance if we need to have an ordinance to accomplish this. It's not one ordinance or nothing. And I think Lieutenant Toll has expressed that to me on several occasions. If he had resolution of this, he would implement it tomorrow. And so working as a community together, hopefully understanding that it's just not an enforcement component. right? They've expressed why that cannot be the only component. There's some community component that has to be involved in this. And so let's get together and find a resolution for it, so we have a better reservoir for not only the users, but also for the citizens that live around it.
Well, and I think that as we start getting information, you guys, probably some of you know Brandon, and start getting our Lieutenant Toll, I'm sorry.
You're fine.
It used to be Sergeant Toll when I knew him. So get some information and let's get a resolution together, because we do need to do something. There's no question about it. We need to do something because there's some issues there. And I'm concerned about the safety of our deputies. I mean, it's a different situation out there. I was up there a little bit in my former life, and it's scary out there at 1 o'clock in the morning launching a boat. We've done it before because the neighbors have called so much. We launch a boat, we get out there, they got 12 boats together, and there's 2 of us. We can't do anything. They're going to do exactly what they want, when they want, as long as they want. And I'm not ready to put our guys in and gals in some safety issues for that. So I think we can come up with a solution that'll be like they say, the win-win-win, where everybody wins. And I think we can come with that. So let's stay engaged and let's get this done. And the weather's gonna change out there one day, and it's gonna start. And it's probably starting in the Upper Valley now a little bit, and it gets pretty busy. So I appreciate what the sheriff's is doing, the sheriff's office and Sheriff Thompson, and I appreciate you guys coming out. Like I said, we had a meeting a week ago, and we heard one side, and that's it. We didn't hear the other side. Now, it's not secret. Our stuff's all posted, but I don't know how we would know to tell you that it's just, I just don't know. We posted, it's on a public website, so I appreciate you coming out. Thank you.
So I would suggest all citizens who've signed in, if you want to be included in an email list, we'll drive information to you. We'll drive the next meetings to you when we're going to review this again. If you put your email address or a phone number on there, we'll send you that information. And I suggest we move to action item number 2, and we'll allow action item number 1 to be held.
Thank you.
I don't think we need a motion to that effect. Without objection, commissioners, I think we can just move to the next item on the agenda.
Absolutely.
And I just, again, want to say thank you to all of you who came, and hope you feel like you have been heard, because we have clearly tried hard to understand your issues. Thank you very much. Nobody else. All right, we'll move to item number 2, request for approval of contract modification number 3 with CRS Engineers for additional fees and time on the design and construction of 12th Street. Do we have Jared Anderson in our office or in our room today? Come on up. If he can make his way.
Well, I don't think you're going to be as exciting, Jared, as our last discussion.
I would guess not. Good afternoon now, Commissioners.
Good afternoon.
Or morning. We're still morning.
Close.
Close. This is for finalizing our design work on 12th Street. So as you're familiar, some of you, with CRS and their work on design on 12th Street, and this is just finalizing the design. Once they're done with this design, the packet will be ready for the entire roadway all the way out west.
Okay, any questions?
I'll make a motion. We accept the contract for modification number 3 from CRS Engineers for additional fees and time on design and construction of 12th Street.
Second.
Motion is second to approve this contract, which is our item number 2, discussion of the motion. Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? It's unanimous. The motion passes. We're going to move to item number 4.
Thank you.
Looks like of a contract by and between Weaver County and the Wasatch Pony Club for the Great American Chicken Event to be held at the Golden Spike Arena. Now, honestly, I thought this is why everybody was here today.
That's what I thought.
The Great American
I can't
Chicken
believe it.
Event.
I'm disappointed.
The Pony Club, we don't ride ponies.
They don't ride chickens.
They don't ride chickens. We don't eat chicken, right?
I do,
Oh,
but I know you don't.
Commissioner, we're not
Okay, go
having
ahead.
that discussion today.
So this is a contract. We're bringing it to you. Typically, this would be a standard contract for us, but we have had to negotiate with this customer to move their date. And so we're offering them a bit of a discount on the facilities. We have had them move their date, though, so that we could bring a series of 2 horse races to the facility, which will bring us a much more substantial revenue. So this organization is very good to work with this way. But Otherwise, it's a standard event, a repeat event with that one caveat. And just looking for approval.
I'll make a motion that we accept contract for the Great Wasatch Pony and Chicken event at the Golden Spike.
Okay, do I have a second?
You have a second on the
Okay.
chicken.
We'll, any discussion to that motion? Seeing none, we'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It passes. Thank you. Jennifer, to the next, which is the request for approval of this contract by and between Weber County and Weber Dairy Days for the Dairy Days event at the Golden Spike Center.
Yes, and this is an event that we kind of took on in-house a couple of years ago. I was struggling a little bit. Great event for our community that would to keep the dairy industry going. So it's an event that we've taken on in-house, and we just charge them for some direct expenses and some shavings. So just looking for approval on that.
Well, this one is very important.
Yes.
Dairy cows are much more appealing than chickens. Just saying.
Yes.
All right. Any questions, comments on this motion? Okay, motion, please.
I'll make.
Moving the operation of the ropes course over to a subcontractor. This has worked out well. He just pays us a weekly fee, plus helps reimburse the cost of the trash removal. We're still able to provide the ropes course to citizens, organizations, corporations, and yet it distances us with the liability just a bit. So.
Okay, remember, we've gotten rid of our ropes course, so this is all part of that process. Any motion?
I'll make a motion, we accept a contract between, an agreement, lease agreement between Weber County and Class Ropes. That's been a good deal for us.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve this contract. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? It passes. Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank
Thanks for
you.
your patience through this meeting. Item number 7, request for approval of a contract by and between Weber County and Comcast Cable for Comcast Cable Communications, I should say, granting financial, legal, and technical ability to provide services, facilities, and equipment necessary to meet the cable-related needs of the community. Good to see you again.
Good to see you again as well, Commissioners. This is the renewal of a contract between Comcast and the county. It authorizes Comcast to use our public right-of-ways to operate their cable system and provide cable television to the residents of the unincorporated areas of the county. In exchange, the county does receive 5% of the gross revenue that Comcast gets from providing this service. The contract has a lot of other details. I'm happy to answer any questions. We also have a representative here from Comcast, Kirk Nord, who came with a presentation. I don't know if you want to hear that, where item number 1 took so much time on the agenda. But if you're interested, I can answer any questions you have, and Mr. Nord is here as well.
Commissioners, if you have concerns with the contract, we'll have the gentleman come up. If not, let's go ahead and take action.
I'm good with it. I've read it all. It looks good.
I'm not worried about the contract, and as far as what they're providing, the facility equipment necessary, I trust the staff has exercised all the control and decision-making specific to whether or not it's appropriate, so I'm comfortable with the contract.
Okay. Are you okay with that? With not bringing up I know he's been patient, but.
He's fine.
Okay.
With not presenting.
Okay, Commissioners, motion?
I'll make a motion, we accept a contract between Weber County and Comcast.
Second.
Motion and second then to approve that motion, that contract. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It passes.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. All right, Sean, request for approval of real estate purchase and sale agreement by and between Weber County and the Utah Department of Transportation for parcel number 08-037-0076.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you.
Good morning.
This is just a small piece of property the county has ownership of. It is a piece of property that is currently within the road right-of-way of 4000 South. That property is now within West Haven City, and UDOT is doing a road construction project within that right-of-way, and they have asked the county to transfer that parcel to their ownership. And we have been working with them. We have a purchase and sale agreement ready to go, as well as a quitclaim deed, and we are asking for the county's approval. This was also declared a surplus property 2 weeks ago at the commission meeting, or several weeks ago at the commission meeting.
Okay. All right, we have seen this before. I don't have any questions on it, Commissioners. Do you?
Nope.
Okay, moving forward then. Motion?
You want me to? Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve the real estate sale between Weber County and Department of Transportation.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second then to approve this real estate purchase sale agreement. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It passes. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you.
All right, Brianna, come on up. This one is a discussion or action on a Golden Spike Event Center illuminated sign bid protest. I love the protests.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, just a real quick overview of what the issue is. We actually have 2 illuminated signs out at the Golden West Event Center, or Golden Spike Event Center. The first one that we did last year was out at the west entrance. That originally was awarded to iSigns and Awning. And then this year we bid out just the north entrance, and we did just a bid on that one since we already knew what we wanted it to look like. That was in the process of being awarded also to iSigns and Awning. They were the low bid. Their low bid came in at $8,898, and the decision is being protested by the follow-up bid, which was IG Sign and Construction, who bid $9,294. They're protesting.
What was the first number again?
$8,898.
$1,000 difference.
There's about a $400 difference.
Oh, okay.
IG Sign is protesting that decision. The submitter for the IG Sign bid was William Levitt. He was also the proposer last year for iSigns and left employment with them and went to work with another company. He was frustrated with the quality, what he felt was a quality issue on the original sign with some vinyl that's been peeling. And so he felt that that was not the appropriate award. His remedy was suggested that we have iSigns completely redo the first sign before awarding this one. I met with our attorney's office, and I also met with Jim Harvey. He did not express any dissatisfaction with iSigns on the original sign. He's never expressed any frustration in that matter, and he was also pleased with iSigns and the fact that they have done well in responding to his request to have the sign fixed. Because he is not unhappy with their performance, I don't have any negative feedback to disqualify iSigns, and they've also been good at responding to any requests to make repairs. And because this bid this year was looking specifically at price, it wasn't looking at past performance or anything like that. Myself and the attorney's office, my representative is Brian Barron, feel that the recommendation to you guys today needs to be to move forward with the project as bid and with the intended award with iSigns.
Okay. Questions? Matthew?
No, I've been walking through all this and it looks good. We're doing the right thing. She's done the right thing, and I recommend we go with the low bid on this, and the staff out there is happy with it. I don't know why we would take someone with a higher bid when the staff is good with the low bid. So,
I
Open for comment on this.
we weren't planning on it. Are you the protestant? I think it's probably fair to have the protestant come up if he wants to come up. So come on up and tell us your opinion on it.
Yeah, good morning, Commissioners. My name is William Levitt. I live in West Haven, so I'm in the Weber County area. When I was at iSigns, I sold this to Jim Harvey down at the arena. When Jim Harvey met with me, he told me, he said he expected phenomenal lasting of the product, that they'd have no problems at all with it. Let me back up for a second. iSigns had promised to be out there during Jim's commitment date. Jim's commitment date came and gone. He threatened to blackball us in the Weber County area if we didn't get out and make movement on it. So it was moved pretty fast to get it through there. And moving it pretty fast, it made failures on the vinyl on the back. I've had several sign companies in the area call them amateurish because I'm not with them anymore, because their vinyl keeps peeling and keeps peeling. It's peeled 8 times since August, and I was out there this morning, and it's starting again to peel. I would suggest that if you do go with I-signs, you're, as per 5 of your contract with a purchase agreement, you do a faithful performance bond to where it will be remedied and will be taken care of. But the difference in price is, I've seen it from the beginning where it started and what they used. After I left I-signs and went to IG signs, we did research with our suppliers, we did research with longevity and everything to get the best product available. I submitted the original quote of the $80 to $100, so I knew what it was. I could have came in lower than it, but I didn't want to give you a second-rate product. I want something that when we put it up, it's going to last. So anyway, that's my comments. Again, I live in Weber County. When I go to the gun shows, it really irritates me. I was a designer of it as well as, the salesman on it. So when I see a failure on something that has my name tagged to it, it upsets me.
I can understand that. Thank you very much. Appreciate your comments.
So the only question I have is, in order to go something outside of the low bid, we have to have a reason. Is that correct?
Yeah, you do have to provide justification.
Okay.
So
has Jim Harvey provided you any justification for going outside the low bid process? I mean, the RFP picking the low bid.
no, he said that, like I said, I called him once these concerns were brought to my attention and asked him if there was anything out there that he was upset with, if that was what he was still wanting to do, was move forward, and he said he was fine with the low bid.
Okay.
So sometimes the law here gets a little restrictive, and I understand that. And there's good reason for it. And I shared this with you earlier. My concern is that we make sure that we follow the law, first of all, but that we allow our department heads the ability to manage. And if they have concerns that give us pause, I mean, the lowest bid isn't always the best bid, because
I can agree.
cheap, sometimes you get what you pay for, and there's a lot of reasons, a lot of things that go into that, and I just want it made clear, I think, throughout our organization that we're looking for value that protects our taxpayers, and I think in this particular case, I'm gonna have to trust the work of those department heads that we've got working on this, and it sounds like you're all on the same page on this. So you have my support on this particular issue. So, commissioners, is there any?
So Jennifer, do you have anything you want to add to this?
And there's also a representative here from iSigns as well. I don't know if you're interested in hearing from him.
Just Jennifer, if she's got any comments on it. She's our department head there.
Yeah, I would just like to add, I actually spoke with Jim Harvey about this as the situation was beginning to escalate, and he was letting me know that there had been a complaint. And I also questioned him because we did have the vinyl come down, and he assured me that although there were problems with the initial vinyl installation, they have learned from those mistakes, first of all. And second of all, the customer service that they provided in coming out repeatedly, probably to the point that they lost money on that deal. A significant amount. So I did question him about that, and he is confident that what is bid now and the customer service he's got from the iSigns is a good product.
I hope we're planning on holding their feet to the fire and making sure that they make it right with the taxpayers. Okay.
Can I make a motion?
Well, Dave, what do we do on this? It's not really.
Oh.
Do we need a
action?
motion? Is there, if we don't take action,
It's an appeal, so I think you either sustain the appeal or deny the appeal.
all right, that's the.
So I'll make a motion, we deny the appeal.
Second.
Okay. Motion and a second then that we deny this particular appeal. Any further discussion of that motion? Okay, seeing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes. The appeal is denied. To our next item, request to approve a first reading of ordinance amending the Weber County Grandma Ordinance Appeals Process. Dave Wilson.
Commissioners, we've been out of sync or out of compliance with the state code for about a year now as far as the appeals process on the grandmas.
Don't let that happen again.
Pardon?
Let's not let that happen again.
We won't.
Okay.
So I've been working with Ricky's office on this, and we have a first draft for you today to approve, although we do already have some comments in. The main change, in the interest of time, will be the appeals board. The state mandated that if we have a local appeals board, it's comprised of 3 individuals, a county employee, and 2 citizens, one of those citizens having some professional experience in making grandma requests or responding to grandma requests. So we'll need to fill that when that comes up. Other than that, it's pretty much the same, and I don't anticipate you'll get the kind of comments you did today on a second reading of this ordinance, but we may get some people here on the ordinance.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you, Dave.
Always glad to hear from people. All right.
I'll make a motion, we approve the first reading of the ordinance of the grandma appeals process.
Second.
Okay, and on first reading, do we need a roll call, Fatima? No? Okay, discussion, seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, any opposed? It passes. Thank you, Dave. We'll hear that again next time. Item number 11, request for approval of a resolution of the County Commissioners approving the Weber County Sanitary Sewer Management Plan. Chad, you're the only
Commissioners.
thing standing between us and lunch.
No, we got another meeting after this one.
We do. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I'll apologize for that one too up front, but I appreciate you taking the time. Yeah, what you have before you right now, Commissioners, is under the Utah Sewer Management Plan, the county is to have a sanitary sewer management plan. And part of this plan is to just define and provide information to properly maintain, operate, and manage our sewer collection systems. And so the idea behind it is to try to prevent or reduce sanitary sewer overflows of the system, or to at least minimize the impact should something like that happen. So kind of goes through and gives us rules and regulations and guidelines to follow should an incident like that occur. Hope that we never have to use it, but if we do, the states try to get this implemented so that we do have some guidelines and things are taken care of constructively and efficiently. So the only question I kind of have for you, Commissioners, is on page 28, we kind of have some maximum payments, and I kind of tried to do a little bit of research on what those fees should actually be. And so I don't know with that, if you went to page 28 and looked at it, if we wanted to develop some of those fees right now, if you had any ideas on them, or if we want to just omit that area. I think it has some advantages and disadvantages. The only advantages would be as if a small occurrence was to occur, that we would have some guidelines as far as what we could implement, just going off of, say, like the county engineer making that call of up to a certain amount. But irregardless, as few and far between as they should hopefully be, to bring it before you is not a big issue as well. So,
okay.
Will those fees, will they always be consistent, or will they be?
They wouldn't. I mean, anything here is due to cleanup of, say, a sanitary sewer was to occur out of a manhole or into a basement. You have 2 different types of situations, and to what extent may the damages be in the basement. So, it'd just be to define, say it's just a little bit of carpet, maybe it's $500. It'd be easy for us to say, yeah, go ahead and do that without the commission approval. But if not, then we just bring it before the commission and say, and get approval for that amount.
So I think we're good with that myself, because if there's anything, I mean, it probably is going to come in front of us anyway. It needs to, and we need to make people right if it's our issue. So
no problem.
Yeah, I think I'm good with that.
All right, appreciate it.
We ready?
Commissioners, if so, I'd just recommend if we omit that, to adopt it with omitting that part of it and move forward.
Okay, motion?
Make a motion, we accept the
Resolution.
resolution. Oh, it's a resolution number.
11.
Resolution number 11 between Weber County and the adopting the Weber County Sanitary Sewer Management Plan.
With that
Omitting
one, with that
the
one.
sections.
With that one section omitted, we'll just omit that
Yeah.
section out.
Second.
Okay.
There's no numbers in it anyway, so I didn't know that. Okay, thank you.
Resolution number 11. Any further discussion? Okay, roll call vote.
Commissioner Ebert.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion passes.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Commissioners. Appreciate it.
We've had our public comment today, so we're going to adjourn this meeting and roll right into our next one. Motion to adjourn?
Make that motion.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye, we're adjourned. Okay, we're going to roll right into our meeting of the Pineview West Sewer Improvement District. Our first item of business is discussion and/or action appointing the chair and vice chair of the board. Done this again recently.